Tonight, 3 former Akuffo Addo government appointees, including Okoe Boye and Gyasi Addo, summoned for questioning by the Public Accounts Committee over alleged payment of 28 million Ghana cedis in mobilization fees made just before the previous government left office for no work done.
Signatory to the contract on behalf of the government was Dr. Okoe Boye.
What year did you pay this 20 million?
It was paid on 31st of December 2024.
31st of December 2024.
We have more from the Public Accounts Committee. As Roads Ministry officials accused Finance Ministry of making a 26 million cedis contract payment in their name without full disclosure.
This audit reveals that they paid contractors who were not below 2 million. For 35 million were paid without our knowledge. It was this audit that the contractors said that they had been paid.
Were they part of the list you sent?
No.
We have all of that details here on Top Story, brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, Enjoy Holy Sleep, and also by Shield Pension Trust. Into the future with you. This is live on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, on ATL 100.5 in Cape Coast, and on 100 on Radio Max in Takoradi. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Well, tonight, former top officials of the Akuffo Addo government are in hot waters. The Public Accounts Committee has summoned 3 of them over a staggering 28 million Ghana cedis paid in mobilization fees for projects that they haven't seen. Nothing has happened thereafter. The 3 are former Minister for Health, Okoe Boye, former administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund, Gyasi Addo, and the former accountant of the DACF, who were cited in the 68 billion cedis government arrears audit report probe for paying 20 million Ghana cedis as part of mobilization fees on 31st of December 2024, few days before government left office for a parliamentary service hospital. Listen to the new administrator of the DACF, Michael Harry-Yamson, answer to what transpired as captured by the report.
An agreement was reached to pay 15% mobilization of about 108 million, out of which 20 million cedis was paid. We have written to Sienna Services, and they have responded on the work that was done with the 20 million. There's an outstanding on that 15% mobilization of 88 million that still is due.
And this was to build a parliamentary service hospital. Which parliament was that?
This was contracted during the 8th Parliament. The signatory to the contract on behalf of the government was Dr. Okoe Boye.
Who witnessed it?
The Chief Director, Alhaji Hafiz Adam.
Hey. So my question is, where is this parliamentary service hospital? Have they started the building? We've already paid 15% mobilization.
Mr. Chairman, it is my understanding from the letter received from Sienna Services that the money they received went into project design and technical planning, site assessments, consultancy services, arrangement of bonds and guarantees, and insurance. However, they also did indicate that they were asked to change the project site from the parliamentary area to the national security compound, and the new site has not been given to them yet, and therefore work has stalled. The contract was between the Ministry of Health and the financier. So it is actually Ministry of Health, if anything.
That has to be answering to this.
Correct, because our role was just to pay the mobilization, and we did so.
What year did you pay this 20 million?
It was paid on 31st of December 2024.
31st of December 2024.
Yes.
Was that part of your formula that was approved by Parliament?
In 2024, I believe that was not part of the formula.
So it was not part of the formula.
No, it was not part.
On what basis was DACF? Who were those people who were there at the time that it happened?
Where is that?
Okay, so the administrator on that day was my predecessor, the Honorable Natoshi Addo, and the finance officer was Mr.
And what about the accountant?
The finance officer was Mr. George Brown.
Is he here?
No, he's not here.
So
we did write to both of them, but unfortunately, they are all not available.
Well, let me bring in our parliamentary affairs correspondent, who's been there the whole day and joins us on the telephone lines with more details. Avaji, let's stay on this contract bid because we are learning that this 20 million cedis paid. I heard the chairman say 15%, but we also do understand it's 20% of the full mobilization fees. What are the full details of this particular contract?
Well, Brace, so this contract, according to the auditor's report, is expected to cost some $47 million US, and the mobilization fee in total is supposed to be some 108 million Ghana cedis, of which the 20 million Ghana cedis was paid, amounting to about 15% of the total mobilization money, which means that some 88 million Ghana cedis is still yet to be paid as full payment of the mobilization for the contract. Now, because the officer in charge, the new administrator, indicates that the officers who were responsible for this transaction, i.e., the former health minister, the former administrator of the DACF, and the accountants who were in charge for this particular transaction were not available. The chairman, the ranking member on the committee, Samuel Kojo, said these three people must be summoned immediately by the clerk to the committee to come and answer to it, as the deputy ranking also provided some new information on why this project delayed to now.
Okay, so the ones we are going to call, the former minister, the accountant, the former administrator of Common Fund, we'll call those three to come. Maybe after talking to them, it may not be necessary even to call the contractor. As for the contractor, Eja,
The latest information we have with regards to the hospital is that Parliament is to provide the site, and then they are working on the site because of the not providing the site timely. That have delayed the contractor in taking off. So they are working on it to provide the site where the contractor will take off with regards to the Parliamentary Service Hospital.
Avaji, I mean, what about the second payment in question here?
So, Brace, this is done with a contract, a project that was supposed to be undertaken under the previous government called the Toilet for All project, which was supposed to be executed by the erstwhile Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. We know that that ministry stands defunct now, as it has been now merged with the local government ministry. Now, according to the report, there was supposed to be that Toilet for All project that was commissioned in 2018-2019, and part of it was supposed to be constructed. Now, they went ahead to pay for some mobilization fee for that as well under the District Assembly Common Fund, amounting to some 8.2 million Ghana cedis. That project has also not been executed, and the committee believes that the former director of the District Assembly Common Fund must come before the committee, as well as all officials who were responsible for this, to answer for that payment.
Also invite the minister and the current people out there, and wherever the documents are, they will have to come with them. You pay somebody mobilization to go and work. the person doesn't do it, takes the money. Then you come back, you want to abrogate this contract and repackage it and give it to somebody. Now, what I don't understand is the Ministry of Local Government, you were making payments for contracts that you don't have the contracts. You don't have the documents. Anyway, when all of you come, we'll do it live.
Quite interesting revelations there, in this particular hearing. But another interesting scene that unfolded today was where officials from the Roads Ministry accused the Finance Ministry of making some payment in their name without disclosing the full details to them. Tell us more.
If you look at the Auditor General's report, some 26 million Ghana cedis was paid for what they call BTAs without any evidence from the Roads Ministry of the contract. Now, the director in charge of finance at the Roads Ministry, in his explanation to the committee, indicated that this contract or this payment was done by the Finance Ministry on their blind side, because when the ministry requested for the contractors that have been owed through the gift mix contract that were awarded, they said that they wanted contracts that were less than 2 million Ghana cedis, and that is what they submitted. But officials or officers at the Ministry of Finance decided to pick this particular contract, which was more than 35 million Ghana cedis, and pay 26 million out of it to the contractor. And when they got wind of it, contacted the Ministry of Finance for the full details of the payment, and the ministry decided not to disclose the details with them, including the bank through which this payment was paid for. And so it became a shock to them when this was flagged by the auditors.
When we brought this thing up to Honorable Ampim Nyako,
yes,
he was surprised at first. It was a national policy that they are going to pay contractors below 2 billion at Fidelity Bank. So they asked us to bring us a list.
Certainly.
So we sent it to them. And on this particular one, we went there not once, not twice, several at the Ministry of Finance. Even took the additional step to go to Fidelity Bank. Just tell us who and who you have paid, so we'll update our records. They said no. They were dealing with the Ministry of Finance. And which, surprisingly, we would have thought that even if they were paying the list that we sent to them, but this audit reveals that they paid contractors who were not below 2 million. For 35 million were paid without our knowledge. It was this audit that the contractors said that they had been paid.
Were they part of the list you sent?
No.
They were not?
No.
They were not in your books?
They were, of course, we owed them, but they were not part of the 2 million.
What you sent?
Below 2 million, no. But they were 35 million.
So there's a big deal that Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Roads will have to come together and work on how payments are done.
Are we clear what time this particular payment was made?
So these are all contained in the special audit of the government arrears that were submitted as at the end of December 2024. The clarity we had on what exact time these payments were done or the contracts were executed. For instance, if you take the toilet for all, it was executed in 2019. And so the belief is that all of this has happened under the ESWAL administration, which submitted the government arrears as at the end of December 2024.
When the clarity about the Parliamentary Service Hospital was giving about the fact that Parliament has to provide land, what was the conclusion on that matter?
So as it stands now, the committee said the previous government officials would have to meet them. Now, if you listen to the deputy ranking on the committee, Honorable Kwame Jijoli-Gakpe, he said that as the matter was being interrogated, they had an additional information, which means that The failure of the contract to be executed was because Parliament did not provide the land in time. The officer also indicated that the feasibility study and the architectural work were actually conducted on a piece of land that was earlier allocated before they had to relocate to a different place. And so all of this, according to the officials, led to the delay of this issue. But the final decision of the committee would have to be arrived at after they have met all of those who they have invited to meet on the issue before they can take a conclusion on it in their final report to plenary.
And if I understand, I mean, did they give any timeline as to when these people have to come to the committee?
For now, we don't know, but what we know is that tomorrow will be the final sitting in Accra, and on the 7th of April, they will be in, Tamale. 7th of April, they will come back to Kumasi, and so we don't know whether they will schedule this for the other meetings out of town, or when they come back from those meetings, then they will schedule a later day to meet with them, and if this would also be a public hearing or this would be an in-camera hearing, all of those details I'm sure would be made when they come back from the Tamale and the Kumasi trips to look at the regional infractions as well.
I heard the chairman say it will be done live, so meaning that we'll see what will happen. But it's quite interesting for us to know why all of these were done. But another intriguing thing is about what happened in 2019. We all know of what happened with Madam Cecilia Dapaa. Was there indication that she's also being reached out to appear before the committee?
In fact, when the chairman indicated that the minister should be brought, because for now we do not know which exact year the payment was done, unless I would have to cross-check from the report again, and because he did not mention any particular name, it is not clear whether it will be the first Minister of Sanitation under the Akuffo Addo administration or it will be the second under the Akuffo Addo administration, unless we get clearly what exact time the payments were done for this project. But what we know is that this project was outdoored. The president first spoke about it when I was cross-checking it in 2018. And then the execution was done in 2019. But for now, I cannot state clearly when exactly the monies were paid for this mobilization of the 8.2 million Ghana cedis, whether they were paid around the time the project was executed or they were paid on a later date. That I would have to cross-check again from the details of the report as presented to Parliament.
Grateful to you, my friend James Avaji is our man in Parliament. This is Top Story. Well, time for us to bring in Adam Senan, who is an anti-corruption campaigner. Adam, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. We are being told today that some 20 million Ghana cedis was paid for as part of a mobilization for the Parliamentary Service Hospital, and it was paid on 31st December 2024. Since then, nothing, not much has been done on this. And we are now being told that they will call the former Health Minister, Okoe Boye, to come, as well as the DAC. And again, now to Shadow, we are being told that that payment was not part of the approved formula from Parliament. From your work and hearing these, what do you glean out of all of this information coming, and how must the state approach it?
Well, it appears that we have a systemic failure where the various policies, laws in place, which are supposed to guide what we do, often is being ignored. Monies are being paid ultra vires the rules that have been put in place for how you disburse, and the follow-up actions. I think one of the things that strikes me the most is the follow-up to ensure that we get value for money, that deliverables are actually received. seems to be very poor. And in my mind, it's like nobody really cares whether money has been expended or not, unless the auditors come and then indicate that, oh, this has not yet been done. And then there's a hue and cry. It's very unfortunate. I'll be interested in how PAC itself addresses the issue of outstanding, recommendations that have not been dealt with, and what they will be doing differently as we proceed.
Okay, but I mean, must there be probably a caveat to say we don't make payment after a certain period, say closer to the end of a tenure of the year?
I'm not quite sure that will work. I think what needs to be the case is what are the checks and balances and who is responsible. The systems we have should be such that irrespective of who is there, irrespective of whether we are close to an election year, because mind you, when you suddenly decide that 6 months to an election, certain kinds of payments cannot be done, people then decide that, oh, you know what, we have up to June of the year, so now it will be from January of that year to June. So it will not work. So the systems must be made to work, and when they fail, the punitive actions, and it's one of the things, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill needs to be passed with clear sanctions for things like this. We've toyed with these kind of things. So people now believe that you can do it with impunity, nothing will happen to you, you will continue to enjoy your family, go home every day, drink your tea, and that's it. We need to be sanctioning and making people pay the price of ignoring laws and policies that have been put in place.
But if the monies were disbursed on 31st of December 2024, shouldn't the Ministry of Health kept an eye on it to ensure that these monies that have been given, the work for which the monies were given will be done? So, I mean, we've had the whole of 2025. Nothing was done.
Absolutely. So the question is, isn't the chief director responsible for oversight on these things? Who was in charge of procurement? How did they follow up to make sure that what it was paid for was delivered? And if directly you signed off and said these things are going to be delivered, and you did not receive them and ensure that they were in place, surely you should be held accountable. The lack of accountability ultimately is what is generating this continued repetition, because people know, well, there are precedents and nobody was actually held eventually. So those are material questions you're asking.
So who must bear the liability here? You mentioned the chief director, because as for the minister, probably his tenure has ended, but the monies have been given on 31st of December. Who should bear the liability for this money that has gone, but no work has been done since that time till today?
The immediate person for me will be the person who signed off on that payment. So if you go through the paper trail, and they write on the documentation, it moves from A to B to C to D, and then there will be the final authorizing authority. Whoever signed off ultimately on making that payment on 31st December is the ultimate responsible party. And I would guess that it will have to be the chief director. Sometimes it could be together with a deputy minister or whatever. Whoever signed off ultimately on these payments has a responsibility to ensure that these things were provided.
You've watched some of these things for quite a long time now, and sometimes I can feel that it's becoming draining a bit and drawing. But what do you think would change the status quo, really, if we're using this case as an example?
If we follow through to say, Mr. A, it's like I think yesterday we were dealing with Mr. Kodo, who was at defense and has moved to the lands and natural resources, but was the one who signed off on the cars or whatever that was supposed to come. And those cars have not been delivered. But he had the confidence to say, no, what was being said by the auditors was wrong. Who ultimately signed off on saying that we are receiving these things? That person should face the full rigors of the law, and the person should be sanctioned. And if they have accomplices, and usually you can't get away with this kind of thing without a number of other accomplices, all of them should be jailed. The challenge we have is, without a conduct of public officers law that begins to codify what kind of sanctions, is it a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year? Often we find that our public officers get away with murder. So we need to rethink that. It's the reason why the lack of a conduct of public officers law has created a lot of problems for us. Many years, I mean, officers get away, they will just be transferred to maybe another region and life goes on. So the lack of a sanction regime, the lack of taking serious actions on such things in the past is what has led us to where we find ourselves today.
I'm grateful to you, Adam Senano, for joining us here. He is an anti-corruption campaigner. This has been Top Story. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Up next is Newsnight.
There are many reasons to connect, and it's all to put smiles on the faces of those you love.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That's my daughter, Angela. Caring for my parents, that's my duty. I also get to pay my utility bills easily with Telecel Cash. And to the suppliers at my shop,
hello, sir. Telecel Cash payment received right on time. Thank you.
I get to make them smile because I can pay to my suppliers' merchant numbers, even on other networks directly. My dear ones, we keep the connection stronger when our family, friends, and business relations are happy. Live on cash, enjoy convenience, and make those who matter smile when you send them money with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office,
Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Abedimpo kwame Kofi Kinata record obisi olumu. I say 4th of April or Easter special with Kofi Kinata. When we location plus 233 as usual. I say we may share they have fun. You know how we do it. Move.
Date, Saturday, 4th April 2026. The venue, +233 Jazz Bar and Grill. Time is 8 p.m. prompt. Rates, premium goes for 1,500 Ghana cedis and regular goes for 1,000 Ghana cedis. Seats are limited, so call 0233 233 233 to grab your ticket now. Easter special with Kofi Kinata. Don't miss this.
Alone, we can only go so far. But when we move together, there's no limits to where we can go. Together, we move with joy. We move to our own beats. We move with the natural goodness of Malta Guinness. A feel-good refreshment with vitamin B1, B2, B3, B5, and B6. Grab a bottle of Malta Guinness now and feel the vim. Malta Guinness, we move. Always check out for the Made in Ghana symbol. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello everybody, welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, Imani Africa has dropped another bombshell alleging state-backed efforts to funnel insurance business to SIC Insurance with fresh leaked documents reportedly showing the state interest and governance agency SIGA influencing state-owned enterprises to divert insurance placements to SIC, sparking concerns about unfair practices and undermining industry integrity.
What is happening now is that state institutions are being guided to use SID, which is good, but it should be transparent.
We'll tell you how the State Interest and Governance Agency SIGA has been deploying its influence to compel state-owned enterprises to divert insurance placements to SIC.
Also tonight, cost of commercial transport to go up, barring any last-minute changes, as the Ghana Private Road Transport Union (GPRT) goes into emergency meeting to decide on fare hikes, with fuel prices continuing to rise.
If they fail to do it at this increment cap, then we'll have no option that we also, organize ourselves to, request for an increment of transport fares for our members.
We have details as pressure mounts on government to immediately suspend the 1 cedi fuel levy to cushion consumers in the face of escalating prices.
Give the government 2 days to do something about it, and if they fail to do it at this increment cap, then we'll have no option that we also, organize ourselves to, request for amendments of transport fares for our.
In business,
interest rates set to reduce further as the Ghana reference rate for the month of April drops marginally to 10%.
In sports,
former Black Stars player Hansi Dusape calls for improvement after Ghana's losses to Austria and Germany.
The latest of these and many other stories are coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma. Appiah.
Details shortly.
Policy think tank Imani Africa has tonight published leaked documents that it says reveals a quiet state-backed push to concentrate public sector insurance business with the state insurance company SIC, specifically SIC Insurance PLC and its affiliate SIC Life Insurance Limited. The documents indicates that a policy directive from the State Interest and Governance Authority SIGA and the Ministry of Finance encouraged state-owned enterprises to collaborate more closely with one another.
And following that directive, SIC Insurance wrote to some state institutions, including Gihok Distilleries, urging them to favorably consider the company when placing their insurance policies. A subsequent letter from SIGA is also reported to have directed state-owned enterprises to prioritize the use of state insurance companies, specifically SIC Insurance and SIC Life Company. We will get into the details of those letters shortly, but speaking on Newsnight last night, the managing director of SIC Insurance, James Ajanim Boateng, rejected the allegations of political interference interference. He's insisting that the company competes for business like any other insurer and does not benefit from any political directive.
I'm unaware of, nor is SIC a beneficiary of any so-called political interference in the insurance space. Every single day when we come here at SIC, all of us go out to prospect for business, just like any other insurance company does. I think that it is most unfair to the reputation of SIC and all of us collectively for the efforts that we are making.
That's James Ajenim Boateng. He's the managing director of SIC Insurance. Let's get into the details of the said documents we mentioned earlier, and Gemma has been going through them. Gemma, what do you have?
So what I'm about to read to you is on the letterhead of SIC Life Insurance Limited, and it's addressed to the Chief Executive Officer of Gyasi Distilleries, dated 23rd December 2025. It says, we extend our warm regards and appreciation for the opportunity to engage with your institution regarding the provision of group life insurance cover for your staff. We value the discussions held and remain keenly interested in supporting your organization with a comprehensive and competitive insurance solution. As a state-owned organization, we are guided by the directives of the Ministry of Finance and the State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, both of which continue to encourage collaboration and business partnerships among state entities. In this regard, we humbly plead that our institution are favorably considered during your insurance placement and next policy renewal cycle to enable us to provide quotations that accurately reflect your institution's need. We kindly request the following information. So they asked for the total number of staff and so on. And it continues to say that if your institution currently works through an insurance broker, we would appreciate it if you could kindly direct us to them for further engagement. And it concluded by saying, we kindly request that you share the staff information at your earliest convenience to facilitate timely preparation and submission of our quotation ahead of the renewal date. Another letter, this time from the State Interest and Governance Authority, dated December 11, 2025. And yesterday in my interaction with James Ajenim Boateng, the MD for SIC, I put that to him. It says that the State Interest and Governance Authority refers to its earlier communication to the Chief Executive Officers of all state-owned enterprises and specified entities, directing them to prioritize the use of state-owned insurance companies, specifically SIC Insurance PLC and SIC Life Company Limited, for their insurance needs as part of the follow-up process to ensure compliance and to better understand the current level of engagement between your institutions and the various specified entities. SIGA kindly requests you to submit the following information: a comprehensive report on your engagements with SOEs, including the entities you have engaged to date, nature and outcomes of these engagements, pending or prospective business opportunities, and paragraph 3, challenges encountered in your efforts to onboard SOEs or deepen existing relationships, including operational, procurement, financial, administrative constraints. And then the fourth paragraph, recommendations on how SIGA can assist in facilitating improved cooperation and compliance among SOEs and in strengthening the uptake of insurance services provided by SIC Insurance PLC and SIC Life. So these are the two documents that Imani Africa has provided. They also go on to put in this article that they've published on their websites some letters dated way back 2014 raising the similar concern.
Right, let's seek further clarity and bring in Kay Kojo, who's an associate with Imani Africa. Grateful for your time this evening. SIC Insurance is insisting it competes for contracts like any other insurer. From Imani's perspective, what exactly shows that political interference rather than normal business competition is at play here?
Yes, good evening to your dear listeners. I want to emphasize that it is not wrong to support state-owned institutions. I've always been an advocate for that. Imani represents that. But in fact, it's very important that we understand the concerns here. The support, whatever it may be or whatever form it comes in, must be done fairly and transparently, not through quite hidden instructions, as we have seen in the letter that's in. If you look at what is happening now, state institutions are being guided to use SIC more. It's a directive coming from SIGA, which is okay. But when one company is being favored, others don't get a chance to start competition. And prices and quality may suffer as well. It reduces competition. And that is why Imani believes this is sensitive. It's also important to emphasize that SIC is not fully owned by government, but it's partly private. So when some of these directives take place, it is benefiting the private shareholders as well. And I've heard Honorable Agent speak to the matter. And for us, it's hilarious because we're not speaking out of vacuum. We know exactly what we're talking about. There's more to come. So I put it to him, if he says that they are not doing anything untoward, let's look forward to the coming day.
Right. And Kay, how widespread do you believe this alleged directive is across state-owned enterprises, and which institutions have you identified as being affected?
It will be premature to say much now, but most importantly, Glyco is suffering from some of these issues. There are quite a number of them. I mentioned Glyco because in 2014, during His Excellency John Mohammed's first administration, they actually petitioned the president on a similar issue, and then the president agreed to resolve. Currently, it's repeating itself, and it's important that we capture that fact correct. So it's a repetition that we believe that since the president has intervened in the past before, and on the campaign of a reset, it's important that there's a fair share of distribution of the country's wealth. The private sector is not alien to our economy. They are also a very important part of our economy. So if there's a directive to support state institutions to succeed, well, it is good. We've seen the SIGA report. We know state institutions are suffering. So when some of these things are done, but it must be meritorious. It must be based on merit. It must be transparent. There are procurement standards in this country. So you don't go into coercing and trying to, and then we talk about it as a think tank and you think it's okay to massage the issues, and we look forward to the coming day.
If you initially said there was no wrongdoing here, so what really is the issue?
No, let me say that clearly. I said it is not wrong to support state institutions to succeed, but it must be done with fairness, equality, and transparency.
Right, let's bring in Collins Ajuman at this particular hour. He is a procurement analyst as well. Collins, you've been listening to the conversation, the back and forth between SIC and Imani. First of all, I want to pick your initial reaction to that.
Okay. I think Imani is talking about competition. And as a procurement person, when there's competition, I just get my value for money. So competition is good. But you see, with the insurance, it works in a different way. The insurance works like the bank. We have something we call capital adequacy. There are certain loans, the amount and the risk that comes with it. One bank alone cannot syndicate that. So some of the banks will come together and then they give that loan depending on the size. And with the insurance too, they do the same. Have you heard of reinsurance? They can come and buy the risk and go and give it to a bigger insurer so that they take over. Same thing, we can now categorize the products within the insurance space so that the smaller ones, let's say car insurance and other ones, maybe they have their capital, they can cover it. But let's say a big a building like let's say National Theatre, if your National Theatre should go in flames, which insurance company, okay, can come in to take that risk? So the insurance companies can come together and then they share the risk together. So it is not wrong having so all that I'm trying to say, they should categorize the insurance product so that everybody should get a bit of it. But when you say SIC, yes, and you know government is the biggest spender. It is the biggest spender that every organization wants to work with the government because it is huge. But if you go and give all that to the big brother, SIC, because it's for government, okay,
right,
then it means that the other small insurance companies, they will fizzle out. And you know, once they fizzle out, employment will be affected, other capitals will be affected. So I think that they need to come together, SIC and NIC, National Insurance Commission, should be seen playing a fair playing game here. They should be the referee. Certain amount of risk you cannot underwrite unless you have other smaller insurance companies to come, because certain amount their capital will be above and no one can. So they should categorize the product and share it amongst. They shouldn't say that. SIGA has over 45 organizations under them. So everything is going to SIC because they have one father. When you do that, other insurance companies become orphans.
Right, Mr. Ajuman, I want you to hold on for me because thankfully we have the Director General of the State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, Dr. Michael Pesa-White, with us. Dr. Pesa-White, thank you very much for your time this evening. First of all, can you confirm to us that indeed SIGA wrote a letter to SOEs and you were directing them to prioritize the use of state insurance companies? And if the answer to that question is yes, what was the reasoning behind that?
So, good evening to your cherished listeners and to my colleagues, or let me say the colleagues on the phone as well. I think it is important to put this whole thing in a certain context. And I listened to the two letters that you referred to, one from SIGA to the entities, or to SIC and SIC Life, and then the other one from SIC Life to Glyco. What Joy FM is not being told by perhaps Imani or, in this case, Mr. Kojo, who is leading the crusade, so to speak, is that there is an earlier letter that was written to the specified entities, which includes the SOE, that probably has not been shared with Joy FM, because the conversation needs to start from that particular letter. That letter was encouraging the heads of our specified entities to ensure that SIC and SIC Life, as the state insurers, stay at the table whenever there is an insurance conversation. Never in any of those letters were they being directed to concentrate their insurance in the hands of SIC or SIC Life. In fact, the whole thing was about making sure that they share. And when that letter went to the specified entities, including the SOEs, we got information from the Ghana Insurance Association or Insurance Association that they needed some clarity. They were gracious, the executives were gracious enough to come to the SIGA office. And in coming, they came with some of the private insurers that had a concern. We had a conversation of about 45 minutes to 1 hour. And that meeting was attended by the CEO of SIC Life and the CEO of SIC itself. The end of that meeting, everybody was very happy because they understood the letter as a letter that was necessary if you were in the position of SIGA, that is providing an oversight for state-owned entities, that was committed to making sure that we change the story of our state entities from the negativity to positivity. So they all left the meeting very happy that we had had that engagement. and everything was okay. Now, it comes to me as a surprise that some of those particular private insurers, and I don't want to mention names now, but as we go along, since Imani is promising that the coming days they will release more documents, we knew that we wrote only 2 letters, one to SIC Life and the other to SIC itself. As we go along, we will begin to also mention names of perhaps private insurers that are not being very honest in this whole thing. And I'm sure when we get there, the public will be able to discern whether we at SIGA are attempting to protect and secure the interests of the state and ensure that there is value retention within the ecosystem of the state entities, are doing anything wrong by just asking that the entities we oversight to try as much as possible and do business among themselves as they do business with the larger public as well. Hello.
Right, Dr. Pesa White, you've mentioned of an earlier document that we do not have access to, but that earlier document or the latest one supersedes that earlier document that you're talking about. So all the concerns that Imani have raised are valid.
So you couldn't have come to that conclusion without seeing that earlier document, because that earlier document went to all the state-owned enterprises, in fact, all the specified entities. In fact, that document is really the one that sets the ground for this conversation. The second letter, which went to SIC and SIC Life, made reference to that letter. And I am sure with the kinds of work you do at Joy, the pedigree of journalists you have over there, if you had read the first letter, you would have come to a conclusion that, this whole thing was a much ado about nothing, because SIGA wasn't even directing them at all. SIGA was encouraging them to make sure that, one, SIC and SIC Life are at the table. And we even indicated in that letter, a line in that letter was quite clear in stating that we are not calling for blind loyalty or encouraging blind loyalty. And that when they are at the table, when SIC Life or SIC proves itself worthy of being given the business, they should give the business. And in the context of that, they should try as much as possible to share, and that we are not in any way trying to promote concentration of risk with any particular insurance company, be it a state insurance company or a private insurance company.
Doc, I'm going to refer you to the December 11, 2025 letter where you specifically directed the state-owned enterprises to prioritize the use of state-owned insurance companies. And in this letter, you said as part of the follow-up process to ensure compliance and to better understand the current level of engagement between your institutions and the various specified entities, this cannot be just encouraging partnership or cooperation between the state-owned enterprises or among them. This is a directive, which per your letter it needs compliance.
Hello.
Hello, Doc.
This is Collins.
Collins, please hold on for me. Dr. Michael Pesa White, do I still have him on the line? Right. So I think we've lost Dr. Pesa White. But Collins, you wanted to make a point.
I'm just wanting to say that, you see, from us, that those of us who are in the risk business, we have something that we call, it is even risky in putting all the risk together for one insurance company to bear. It's risky. A time will come, you give everything to SIC and they will not be able to underwrite it. So they should be careful. Yes, they want to create business for the big brother, because the big brother is the son or daughter of our father. Please, they should watch out, because if not, we have something we call concentrated risk, which is also risky. So yes, SIC want to make business, they want to have business, and all government risk should be brought to them. A time will come, they wouldn't even have the capital adequacy to underwrite such risk. So they should be careful, and they should just do categorization of some of the products so that all the smaller businesses or insurance companies can have a bite of it. You see, when government does something, they call it judicious use of government money, for the state money, even if in procurement. When you do the competition and all that, the small companies can also win government contracts. So they should just stop this concentration of risk, concentration of contracts, where you give a billion CD contract to a single source. We should stop that. There should be judicious use of government funds.
Thank you so much, Collins. I think Dr. Pesa White is on now. Dog, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. The question I asked was that in the letter dated December 11, 2025, is titled Directive to State-Owned Enterprises to Prioritize the Use of State-Owned Insurance Companies. Let me quote it for you. The State's Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, refers to its earlier communication to the Chief Executive Officers of all SOEs and specified entities, directing them to prioritize the use of state-owned insurance companies, specifically SIC Insurance PLC and SIC Life Company Limited, for their insurance needs. It goes ahead to say, as part of the follow-up process to ensure compliance and to better understand the current level of engagement between your institutions and the various specified entities. This is clearly a directive from your office which needs compliance, and that's why you were writing this follow-up letter to the SOEs.
Okay, so this is what it is. First of all, let me correct an impression that the gentleman who spoke a few minutes ago was making. At no point was SIGA encouraging concentration of risk, not at all. And I will crave the indulgence of your very good station that usually when people come on the station, let them have access to the base documents or the primary documents that generate the conversation so that they can be better informed. I think at SIGA we are quite informed enough to know that risk concentration can be dangerous and that we wouldn't even encourage that in the first place. Now, that dovetails nicely into the question you just raised. At SIGA, we are expected to provide an oversight and ensure that within the larger framework of the research, we turn our state-owned enterprises that are making losses into profitable organizations. And so it is perfectly within our purview to actually ask them to prioritize doing business within and among themselves. Let me tell you what, there is a 2022 letter that if I share with you, you would have noticed that the letter we have written to the entities that basically encouraging them to do was much better than what happened in 2022, where the state entities were being asked to do business solely with one entity as far as the provision of internet was concerned. If you like, we can share that letter to you.
We have that letter. Is it the letter dated the 29th of November 2022 that is directing the public sector cybersecurity to use only internet from, is it national information?
I don't know whether it was directly only public sector cybersecurity. It was claiming to be warning against cybersecurity and asking all entities based on a cabinet directive.
But we do have that letter.
To use
very well,
right.
Very well. So the point I want to make is that if you read the SIGA document that you don't have, the letter that you don't have, that I believe was deliberately concealed from you because it would have given you a better view of where SIGA was coming from, you would have understood that what we were doing was what anybody in the right sense in Ghana who wants value for Ghanaian investment and Ghanaian assets would do. Anybody fighting this basically is telling Ghanaians that that individual or he or she is enjoying the loss-making, environment that our SOEs are operating in now, and that nothing should be done about that. That is where we are coming from.
Concern that Imani is raising is that you are just concentrating this whole the insurance space into just SIC and not allowing for competition to play out here.
I don't think that concern has any basis whatsoever, because either Imani did not see the original letter that says that, look, just make sure that SIC life. Look, there is a certain history to this. a few years before this government took power, insurances were being moved left, right, center from the state to private insurance companies. So asking our state entities that, look, don't continue that regime and that you must retain value creation within the state entity ecosystem cannot be seen to be something wrong. That is sound and logical, and it is good for the country. There is no way SIGA will discourage competition. We are not asking the entities to take their businesses without any critical analysis and assessment and take it to SIC. And frankly speaking, this whole conversation is unfair to our colleagues at SIC and SIC Life. These are individuals who, within 1 year, have been able to turn the fortunes of their entities, from loss-making or potential loss-making entities into high-flying insurance companies. Why would we want to treat them as though they were sitting down doing nothing and they were just being given businesses? I think that is most unfair and most unreasonable. And I will challenge the Imani people to come to SIGA. If they were doing investigations and they received those documents, they should come and ask for clarity or clarification. Then they would have gotten a better understanding of it. I hear Kujo when he says that he also supports the need for us to promote state-to-state business. If that is the case, then what is the wrongdoing here? Those private insurance companies that are going quietly to Imani and other civil society organizations to come and do advocacy for them should ask their CEOs to get out of their lazy chairs and go and do the real business that other people are doing to shine their companies and put their companies in the right footing. This mindset will not help them.
Right.
It's a competitive environment out there. I have a responsibility to ensure that our entities are equally competitive. And that is what we are doing.
Right.
We are only saying that those that we manage must make sure they do business among themselves.
Right. Dr. Michael Pesa-White, thank you very much. That's the Director General of SIGA. And we still have Kay Kujo from Imani Africa on the line. Kay, you have about 30 seconds. You want to rebut some of the claims that have been made by the SIGA boss?
Yes. In fact, what he said is contrary to what we're looking at, because competition is irrelevant. So any industry to succeed sustainably, there must be competition, and competition allows better price, better service, stronger capacity, and so on and so forth. So it is only right that they must be competing. It is very reckless for him to say the private insurance companies and their CEOs should get off their lazy chairs and so on and so forth. That is completely out of context. We all know how the SOEs are struggling. So if we really want to support SOEs, nobody's against that. We're saying that it must be done in a way that creates transparency and the integrity of the process should be sustained. I just want to re-echo something I said earlier on with regards to the reference to glyphosate in the petition to the president. This has happened before in 2014, where the Ghana Insurance Association through NIC, the National Insurance Commission, submitted a petition to the Excellency, and then he acted on. So we're not talking out of vacuum.
Right.
We're talking based on the fact that these are real issues. They are procurement standards in this country. There was a gentleman that spoke earlier and mentioned the concentration of risk and so on and so forth. It's very important that we put it into proper context and not treat it like because I'm just listening to him and he was a bit all over the place with some of the points he was making. I think it's a bit...
Right. Okay, Kujo, thank you very much. He's an associate with Imani Africa. And Gemma,
yes.
We need to clarify a few things.
Yes, so Ken, regarding the November 14, 2025 letter that Dr. Pesa-White was talking about. In fact, this letter was part of the documents that Imani presented on its website. It's titled Promotion of Intertrading Among State-Owned Enterprises, a placement of insurance business with State Insurance Company, SIC PLC, and SIC Life Insurance Limited. It was addressed to all board chairs and chief executive officers of specified entities in Ghana. And this letter, I must say, was part of the documents presented by Imani. That's just for clarification.
Indeed. That brings us to business, and George Riafe is here with the latest. George, what do you have for us?
Well, Kenneth, interest rates set to reduce further as the Ghana reference rate for the month of April drops marginally to 10%. And the Ghana Revenue Authority clamps down on 2 Chinese companies over tax default. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, synthesis tanks, and Pepsodent, Herbal, and Charcoal.
Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Mappé. Et Mappé. Hey, Asamo! French idiot. This is midi croissant.
Meet Appiah. She makes sobolo in a small shop in Kaswa. She's going places with MTN Ejumapa. Now, she's learning French kakra to teach her francophone customers indigenous recipes.
Watashi no namae wa.
Watashi no namae. Boy.
Whoa. She's learning Japanese too? Watashi. What? Appiah sobolo to the whole Gyasi. If you're a woman with a small business, join MTN Ejumapa today by dialing *5060# and enjoy 150 megabytes data, a lifestyle bundle for social media, free MTN to MTN calls every Monday, and an insurance cover. You will also gain access to expert training, discounts on digital tools, and financial support to grow the business of your dreams. Terms and conditions apply. MTN.
When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Okoe Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation. With special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Okoe Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Okoe Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.okoebusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Okoe Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow.
Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on, keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became number one. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
If you want quality, this be where you belong. Hey, it's a fair strong. Oh, gonna shout and sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start.
Accra, it's time! Celebrate Easter with Kitia and enjoy 25% off store-wide and up to 50% off selected items from April 1. Visit Kitia at Spintex Road or follow at Kitia Ghana on Instagram.
Every mosquito study run away. Sasso, mi se come tonton preko. Sasso, kum tonton preko. Nani shamne die demonstronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Ghana reference rate, a key benchmark that influences interest rate charges by commercial banks, have gone down marginally. It dropped from 11.71% to 10% for the month of April. This will be more of a guidance for banks for the month of April. There is more in this report.
Average interest rates among commercial banks are currently hovering around 16%. Based on this marginal cut, we could see interest rates drop to 15% or in some cases around 14%. This might benefit only those that negotiated their loans at a variable rate over the past 2 months. But for those that had a fixed rate, they will not benefit. Some analysts have argued that based on this, it is likely that interest rate could hit the single-digit target before the end of the year. According to some commercial banks, the marginal reduction in the Ghana reference rate is likely to drop in the interbank lending cost, reduction in treasury rate, and the recent cut in the monetary policy rate to 14%.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority has sealed the premises of 2 Chinese firms in Tema and Spintex Enclave over the failure to honor their tax obligations to the state. These 2 firms, according to the compliance team of the authority, have decided to be selective in their VAT when it comes to clearance in terms of declaring the taxes they're supposed to pay to the country. The operations this afternoon also sealed off the premises of Seoul Restaurant and Janelle Spaces, all at East Legon. Here in Accra, the area manager for the Ghana Revenue Authority, Joseph Annan, has been briefing the media after the operations.
So let me start with Seoul Restaurant. That's East Legon, the first place we went to. They have their tax office at Kofredia. They do serious business in the night. But what is happening is that are not paying as they should. What we call the payment returns without remittance. They have so much on their ledgers that they should clear, but they are not. And they are accumulating. Then Janelle Species. That's East Legon, the next place. They are not registered, but they are charging VAT because they are using the special dispenser. They are issuing their own receipts from the till, and they will tell you the programmer put it there. But if it's losses to them, then they will find a way of taking it out. Russian Industry Limited, that's Spintex, where we went to. They are doing selective issuance, and then obviously that leads to under declaration, third place. And then where we find ourselves now, Changshan, yes, at times it's difficult to mention these names, but non-issuance of VAT.
Joseph Annan is the Accra area manager, the Ghana Revenue Authority, and leader of the enforcement team. Now, oil marketing companies have joined the renewed push for the suspension of some taxes and levy on the prices of petroleum products. A full of fresh revelation said that the price of the fuel is set to go up further in the coming rate. Now, this is different from the current hikes that we are seeing at the pumps. Dr. Riverson Upon is chief executive of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies.
With the current pricing that we have, it could be worse than this. And I'm being honest with you. And probably it's where the government needs to come in. Namibia has put a 50% discount on all government taxes and levies on fuel prices. This could be something that the country, Ghana, can look at. That Tanzania, Zambia are also in talks with the government to reduce tax to make sure that the impact is not felt. These are the discussions that we need to have. If I tell you that most OMCs have written out or written off their margin at the pumps, you'll be shocked. All because of the price war we see in the market. I don't believe that any OMCs are priced. We are in a way even down pricing.
Chief Executive of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Revison upon. Now, the rising services cost is emerging as a new pressure point for consumers in the country. Now, this is despite inflation rate declining marginally to 3.2% for the month of March. James Shen has the rest of the story.
According to the Ghana Statistical Service, prices for services increased marginally on month-on-month basis. This comes despite some relief in other areas of the economy. Food inflation dropped slightly to 2.3% in March from 2.4% in February, with food prices declined by 0.3% over the period. Non-food inflation also eased marginally to 3.9%, although prices in that category rose by 0.3% month-on-month. Here is government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu.
Services inflation increased to 7.2% from 3.7%, with monthly increases of 0.4%, showing that services are now the main source of upward pressure on prices. Food inflation continues to ease, falling to 2.3% from the 2.4% recorded in February.
Meanwhile, inflation for locally produced items increased to 4.9%, while imported goods recorded a decline into negative territory at minus 0.6%, suggesting easing external price pressures.
7 locally produced items are driving inflation, rising to 4.9%, while imported items became cheaper at negative 0.6%, highlighting a shift towards domestic price pressures.
Despite these improvements, the Ghana Statistical Service says the sharp rise in service costs could offset gains made in goods and food, particularly for households that rely heavily on services such as transport and accommodation.
And that is a business desk report. Well, 5 companies listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange saw a drop in the value of their shares at the end of trading today. Now, MTN was one of them as it lost about 8 pesos to close at 5 Ghana cedis, 32 pesos. If you had invested on the market from January to now, you've made more than 70% return on your investment. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Kenneth.
I've started taking your advice, so I've started trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange. I'm looking at the stock right now. Not looking too good.
You made about 50,000, 100,000?
Not looking too good as we speak.
Okay.
Well, let's do sports. Benaya is here.
Do you remember Hanse Dusape?
I do.
Yeah.
The former Black Stars player.
Exactly. Aminu Dramani and all that squad. I mean, those days were fun, wasn't it?
I guess.
So he's been speaking exclusively with what's the name? Our editor Fentu Tairu Fentio and Hanse Dusape. He has weighed in on Ghana's performance during the match international friendlies against Austria and Germany. Now, Ghana suffered a heavy 5-1 defeat to Ralph Rangnick's Austria before narrowly losing 2-1 to Germany in the closing stages just days ago. Now, Sape has expressed disappointment with the manner in which Ghana conceded the late goal against Germany, but also acknowledged that the team showed improvement after the defeat to Austria.
Of course, you need to take the 1 point, to draw, to fight, to don't give them chance. But of all, after the 5-1 lose against Austria, yeah, of course, it's not easy to come back like that. And to fight for this game, and also to get a penalty like in the last second of the first half, and then come back in the second half to get the chance to make the 1-1. So I think the performance was okay, was good. I think it could be better, of course, but it's a friendly game, and we have a lot of time to get ready for the World Cup. And also, I think there will be another squad also, other players. Kudus was missing. There are a lot of players missing, and yeah, but yeah, I'm not happy about that what we lose, but we need to take it like that and keep fighting, keep training to be better.
That's Hans Edusape, the former Black Stars player. And the full interview will air at 8:30 on Prime News on Joy News later tonight. That's it for sports. Over to you, Kenneth.
Thank you very much. I understand that the search for a Black Stars coach is still on.
Yeah, it's some interesting names.
I have some suggestion. We could go for Amorim.
Oh, come on. come on. You don't. I mean, Amorim's record and Utuado's record very similar.
At least he's coached at the highest level. He coached Manchester United.
Well, but we still don't like. Give us Javier Renard or some
Jose Mourinho.
But you see, can we pay him? Charlie,
we can. Why not?
Take high fees, so.
We are gathering money. Can't you see that we are doing fundraising for the Blacks? We can do fundraising and pay him.
The correct.
Thank you very much for bringing us the latest in sports.
Well, tonight calls to end Ghana's no-bed syndrome intensify as health experts demand urgent retooling of district hospitals to prevent avoidable deaths. The call comes just a day before Joy News hosts a national dialogue on the issue aimed at finding lasting solutions to the emergency care crisis. Dr. Darius Owusu, former Chief Executive Officer of the University of Ghana Medical Center and health consultant, insists no patient should be turned away from an emergency ward under any circumstance. His comments follow a recent incident in Accra where a victim of a hit-and-run accident was reportedly denied care due to lack of space, raising fresh concerns about the country's emergency response system. Dr. Owusu, speaking exclusively to my colleague Stephen Mensah, says the solution lies in strengthening district-level facilities to ease pressure on major referral hospitals.
If you look at the situation, the no-bed situation happens often in the referral hospitals, right? And most of these cases are emergency cases that must go through the emergency rooms of hospitals, right? And in most cases, you have very few beds in the emergency rooms. The problem is if we go strictly by how these emergency rooms are to be managed, it means doctors must review patients, and then within 24 hours, we must make decisions on patients. Either we are sending them home because they are stable, or we are evacuating them to the wards. But most often we see that patients lie in the emergency rooms over 24 hours, sometimes 72 hours or more. Then it means these referral cases coming or very critically ill patients won't have beds to be managed. So I think the emergency room, especially for the referral hospitals, the management there, where managers must look at how they are efficiently managed, see that patients are quickly moved to the wards, or review them and make sure they are stable enough to go home, so that we can free some of these beds. Definitely, we are also to build capacities for the district hospitals and other places, because if you look at some of the cases that are ending up in these big hospitals, they are not supposed to be there. I mean, if the districts and smaller units can manage cases like malaria and some crisis situations, I'm sure that there wouldn't be the need for all of them to come to Accra and others.
And Joy News is set to host a major thought leadership forum on Ghana's persistent no-bed syndrome. The forum, scheduled for tomorrow, is expected to bring together key stakeholders in the health sector to discuss practical and sustainable solutions to the crisis, which continues to result in patients being turned away from hospitals due to lack of beds. Joy News editor and head of the health desk, Fred Smith, has been outlining the focus of the engagement.
We're not just highlighting the problems, we are trying to raise them so we can find a solution to it. So we've brought together key personalities within the health sector and people who may have experienced difficulty at an emergency facility or in any hospital, so that we can together come up with a solution. This is no longer an isolated issue. It is a systemic issue affecting most of the major referral hospitals in Ghana. Now, emergency units are constantly operating beyond capacity, and what we're seeing now is a system under sustained pressure, not a one-off surge. The frequency of these incidents tell us that the problem is deeply embedded.
You definitely do not want to miss that dialogue on Joy News tomorrow at 6 p.m. We are speaking to the Deputy Health Minister and other sector players within the health industry. And here are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Yvonne says, I don't think this directive is new. Over the years, there's been several directives for state enterprises to do businesses with their sister agencies. Francis in Accra says, It is good to hear SIGA giving directive to safeguard economic institutions of government. Imani Ghana should give us a break. What is wrong with government institutions doing business with SIC to sustain its financial stance in the market when under the MPP, all insurance contracts of government went to a certain insurance company which nearly collapsed SIC. They did not see anything wrong with that one. Godwin from Tema says it is obvious that Imani Africa is just making conjectures due to the fact that they haven't been able to state one solid factor of instances where SIC has taken over government businesses through unfair practices. This is just a deliberate attempt by a group to discredit the state entity. And this one, without a name, says 8 years of MPP administration. The then finance minister directed state institutions to register at Enterprise Insurance, which belonged to him. What is wrong if we support state businesses instead of private ones? Nana Mwabwatin from Ablikuma Central says the arrogance of power is clearly evident in Dr. Besa White's submission. It is insulting to describe CEOs of private insurance companies as lazy. If the CEO of SIC Insurance is not also lazy, why would he be hiding behind SIGA to secure all the insurance contracts from the state-owned enterprises? Those are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform.
Well, Ken, potential investors for the controversial Dapaah mine have begun throwing their hearts into the ring as efforts intensify to secure a new company to take over operations from Goldfields Limited, whose lease expires on the 18th of April. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Akuffo Addo, though he did not disclose the number of bids received so far, says the process is advancing smoothly. The minister also says that government is committed to protecting all jobs under the new arrangement. He made the remarks after visiting the mine with members of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources to familiarize themselves with operations and engage workers as part of the transition process.
One is to familiarize ourselves with the mine as this period, as I've described, is coming to an end. But more importantly, to also make sure we engage you and the workers here to give them the assurance. And this assurance is coming from His Excellency President Mahama. His whole focus is the people who work here, who has families, who must be protected. And so I'm here with the members of Parliament who ultimately will also work on this same mine in terms of the future lease to make sure that there's an orderly transition that ensures that the operations is not interrupted, that guarantees the safety of the mine, that also guarantees the contract or the employment of those who are already been here. And all of that are part of the reason we have come. And so we come with good news. We believe that this mine's future is ahead of us. I did not go into the details of what is important and why we made this decision. But we are also aware that there's a lot of work to be done. I can tell you that the process of the tender is going very well. I can also tell you that our commitment for whoever is going to operate this mine to protect the employees of that mine is the #1 priority. To make sure that they are better off and not less is the priority of government. To make sure that subcontractors and contractors who are already committed working here will not have any interruptions. It's a government priority. And so I think that is the reason why you see me and the members of the Select Committee, Mines and Natural Resources, who are also very, very, very interested in this very important transition.
That's the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Emmanuel Akuffo Addo. We've also been hearing from the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources, Collins Dauda, who says the committee will ensure there are no gaps in the transition period. He added that a new lease agreement will be presented before the committee for consideration and subsequent ratification.
After the lease, the mine should not be closed. The mine is expected to be active beyond the 18th. And so there was need for the committee to pay a visit to see the preparation for the takeover. For us, we don't want any gap. We don't want to have any lacuna. We want to see a situation, preparation that would ensure smooth continuity of the Amman mines.
Right, so that is Collins Dauda. He's the chairman of the Parliament's Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources. That brings us to the end of the News 9. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma, Appiah.
But do not forget to do the 2. Pepsodent is telling you that brush this evening with Pepsodent and do same tomorrow morning with Pepsodent as well. Right after here is Strong and Sassy, and Akuffo is here. Akuffo, I see 2 very strong, bold and sassy women alongside your picture. What are you discussing with them?
Well, before I even get to that, I wanted to find out from you, have you ever shared something you wish you could take back with anybody?
I think so, I have.
Yeah. And how did that make you feel?
I don't know. I haven't regretted thus far.
Okay.
Because I trust the people.
Exactly. Okay. Well, we're getting into oversharing in relationships and friendships and stuff like that. So there's a massive case study we're using today. I'm pretty sure it will actually shock a lot of our audience to find out, like, the things in this audio, by the way. So I just want you to tune in to Strong and Sassy, and then we'll find out more.
I will not miss it for anything in this world.